wanted to get that Kevin O'Leary soundbite in because it was interesting from CNN. Watch.
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it, and sell it back here.
Tariffs? What would that look like?
Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. America is the #1 economy on earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
So on the front of the politics of the tariffs, this is the way to go. Like, there's not a lot of Americans who are going to be crying in their soup over the loss of our relationship with China. I think most Americans at this point would like far less of a relationship with China. We would like China to stop owning our agricultural fields, our movie industry, our sports industries, produce every single toy that our children play with, and we have no idea with what standards. So now they want to play hardball with Donald Trump, and they think somehow that's going to work to their benefit. I don't think so, Carl.
Well, what Kevin O'Leary said, this theft of intellectual property has been a problem for 20 years. It's underreported, underdiscussed. People I know in business, I used to cover the Silicon Valley when I first came to Washington. San Jose Mercury was my home paper. And this is what he said is literally true. That companies go there, American companies, the innovation is stolen and then sold back to us, and we're supposed to think that that's okay because China has, 1 billion people and it was poorer than us and they're trying to catch up. Well, I think they've caught up and they should be made to pay by the rules. This is what I was saying before. This is the kind of thing Donald Trump ought to talk about. He had to leave Canada out of the discussion, and and if Vietnam wants our help, he had to figure a way to work with them. And I think a focus on cheating, on dishonest business practice, I think that's a winning argument, and I think it's a truthful and effective argument.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's much harder to sell to Carl's example earlier, Tom. Like, I don't know, somebody's importing like dragon fruit here, or like some sort of weird papayas that we don't grow domestically. And so there's a trade imbalance because we just don't export that much to them and we need their, tropical fruits. That's a little tougher to sell than, look at these guys. Everybody knows the Chinese have been taking advantage of us for a long time. And now they've decided to play hardball. They actually came out because Trump raised the tariffs on China. And then they decided to raise a reciprocal 34% on us. And Trump said, all right, I'll do you one better. I'm adding another 50% on top. And so now he's raised the levy on them to 104%. And China comes out and says, we firmly oppose it. It's a mistake upon a mistake. And their ministry vowed to escalate their retaliation on the United States exports. So I just don't see this going well for them. And meanwhile, I don't know if you saw, but Scott Besson is out there today saying our entire focus is on Main Street. We don't really care. All these Wall Street, bellyachers, you had your day in the sun, and I'm one of you. And I'm telling you, you had your day in the sun. Our mission focus on Team Trump for the next 3+ years is going to be Main Street, Main Street, Main Street.
Yeah, I saw that clip of him, and that's obviously a good message for the administration. But he also said in another clip, I think it was this morning, it might have been on Maria's show, when he was talking about tariffs with the Chinese, he was like, listen, we import 5 times more right, than China imports of our goods. So they're the surplus country. So they can raise their tariffs all they want. Who gives a shit, right? We are the country that we have the leverage, and the Trump administration is willing to use it. I mean, this is like a high stakes poker game where they're just shoving chips in. I'll raise you. No, I'll raise you back. But we have more chips than they do. They cannot stay with us if we continue to do this. Now, is it going to cause pain? Perhaps. I mean, the other concern that people are talking about is this going to, if we're getting after Vietnam and some of these other countries, is that going to drive them into the arms of the Chinese and away from us? Those, I think, are legitimate questions. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think Kevin O'Leary is right. We have been, and this is what Trump has been saying for a long time, we've been taken advantage of by the Chinese in particular for so long. We've just come to accept that that's the sort of normal course of things. And so finally, we're saying, even as they have cheated and stolen, not just IP, but the way they dump products, they manipulate their currency. I mean, they do a whole host of things which are really underhanded and not what you want in a legitimate trading partner. And so we're trying to reset this. And I think if we can do it, if the Trump administration can do it, it'll be a huge win for the country in the medium and long term.
I don't think the Chinese understand the American sentiment toward China right now, right? After the balloon gate over the United States, about which we did absolutely nothing. And Americans are still wondering about that. I'm still wondering about all the drones over New Jersey. I don't believe any of the explanations we've gotten so far. I don't think they're particularly popular as a country in America. And I think it actually is going to really work well for President Trump to take them on. As far as if we zoom out, we read the polls on immigration. He's doing very well. The polls on tariffs, I haven't seen them lately, but you're telling me less well, which dovetails with what I would have expected. Because the American populace is told over and over and over, they're bad. He's ruining the economy. It's a one-man wrecking ball on what was a healthy economy. That's what you hear everywhere. But overall, Trump maintains his popularity, which to me means he won't be changing any of these policies anytime soon. Here's CNN's Harry Enton on that.
I think there was this concern among some folks that Donald Trump would come in for a second term and kind of be a lame duck. He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle. What am I talking about here? Let's talk about Trump executive orders in 2025. He's already signed 111 so far. That is the most at this point in a presidency in at least 100 years. In fact, it's the most in any single year, and we're only in April, since Harry S. Truman in the early 1950s. 86% of the American public believes that Trump's approach to presidential power is completely different from past presidents, compared to only 14% who believe it is in line with precedent. And we're talking about at least 79% of Democrats, independents, and Republicans. So Trump's presidential power is too much, the right amount, too little. Well, 47% say too much, but then you get 36% who say the right amount. Then you get 17% who say too little. So you're essentially dealing with a majority of the American public, 53%, who do not say that Trump has too much power. They either says he has too little power or the right amount of power. So the idea, that argument that Donald Trump is, quote unquote, a king, that I don't think holds with the American people.
That's really remarkable, Tom Bevan, if you think about the number of outlets continuing to use words like fascist, authoritarian, right, dictator, some of which we heard in these non-organic hands-off rallies over the weekend, right? They're doing all they can through lawfare, through media, through protests to get the message out there that he's acting like a dictator. It's not sticking. The majority of the populace still thinks he's using presidential power appropriately, and a hefty amount of them, nearly 20%, think he hasn't gone far enough.
Right. And there is this disconnect between folks in the media and certainly the Democrats when they say, well, I don't think that this is what Trump voters voted for. They're having buyer's remorse. And then you talk to a Trump voter, they're like, this is exactly what I voted for. And I would vote for it again, twice if I could. I mean, they love what he's doing. And that number about he has taken a completely different approach. It is a different political environment than he was in, obviously, in 2016. He's got better people around him. The machinery around him is more efficient. He knows what he's doing. They've been executing at a rapid pace. And because look, at some point, he is going to be a lame duck, right? I mean, that's just the fact, unless he ends up, amending the Constitution and getting a third term. But then that moment is rapidly approaching, especially if Democrats manage to take control of the House next November. So he is trying to get a lot done, and as much and as fast as he can do. And as Harry pointed out, and as the polls show, by and large, the public is with him, and he has a lot more leeway this time around than he did in his first term.
Tariff wars, stubborn inflation. No wonder gold has been routinely hitting all-time highs. And volatile markets like the one we have now, don't sit on the sidelines with your head in the sand. You can take control and safeguard your savings. Aren't you thinking about that today? That's why so many Americans today are turning to Birch Gold Group. They've helped tens of thousands convert an existing IRA or 401k into one in physical gold. Is it time for you to hedge against economic instability or market instability with gold? To learn how to own physical gold in a tax-sheltered account, text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold will send you a free, no-obligation info kit. Again, just text MK to the number 989898. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and countless five-star reviews, Birch Gold has helped many protect their savings with gold. It took us decades to get into the tangled mess we're trying to unpack right now. How long will it take to get out of it? And at what cost? Text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.